Hey there, my name's Brashler, and in this video, I want to teach you about my favorite vocal compressor on your Behringer WING, and it's called the 76 limiter amp, which is the same thing as the Ultimo compressor on the Behringer X32. So if you're an X32 user and you move over to the WING, it's now called the 76 limiter amp. And let me show you in this video why it's one of my favorites and how to use it on a vocal. Now, if you're brand new to my channel, I'm all about helping you feel more confident with your production gear no matter where you're starting from. So let's go ahead and dive in. Now, I have this audio pulled up, and this vocal is a very good vocal, but I do not have any compression other than the mastering for YouTube for you guys to see it. So there is some compression that's happening on that side, but I haven't done any channel compression on this vocal quite yet. And I want you to listen to this one section.
Lord, I'm praying you do the same with me. 'Cause you're still robbing grace, still breaking chains.
Listen to it one more time, and then I'm going to kind of pick out the words that are a little bit loud or a little bit quiet.
Lord, I'm praying you do the same with me. 'Cause you're still robbing grace, still breaking chains. Your resurrection.
Okay, here it is again.
Lord, I'm praying
Loud.
you do the same
A little quiet.
with me. 'Cause you're still robbing grace, still
Grace is loud.
breaking chains. Your
And that's a little section that's happening right here.
Chains. You're robbing grace, still breaking chains. Your resurrection power.
The vocal is a little bit kind of up and down in dynamics, which is great for a vocal performance. But in this case, with this particular song, I'm wanting this vocal to be standing right out in your face. And so the key item that I go for when I am compressing a rock sounding vocal like this is the 1176. Now, there are two places on the Behringer WING that we can pull up this 1176 or this LA limiter amp, and that is in the gate section. We can go to gate and then go to gate model, and it is right here. My favorite place of doing it is in the compressor section. So we can go to the compressor, turn it on, and then go to our 76 limiter amp. Now, there are some specific settings that we have adjustments on. We have input, output, attack, release, and our ratio. Now, on the input, the 76 limiter amp is a fixed compression threshold compressor. So meaning that I don't have a threshold that I can adjust up or down. Instead, I'm actually going to boost or cut the amount of volume of my channel that's going to this compressor to vary the amount of compression. So if I want more compression, I would add more input gain. If I want less compression, I would lessen the input gain. Now the output is the output of this compressor. It is post-compression and it is gain. Now if we turn up this, it is turning up our channel. If we turn this down, it is turning down our channel. Now, applying gain in both of these spots is the same thing as you taking your fader and turning it up. So if you have a channel that's close to feeding back, just be careful on the amount of compression that you add, because when you add gain here on the output, it is turning up the volume. Then we have our attack and release. Over at 1 is the slowest time. Over at 7 is the fastest time. So that happens with the same way with the attack and the release. In this case, when I'm setting this for a vocal, I'm going to be setting my attack to about 3, and then my release is going to be as fast as it can go up at 7. We then come to our ratio knob. So we have a 4:1 compression ratio, 8, 12, 20, and then an all buttons mode. Now, on a vocal, I am choosing between an 8:1 compression and a 12:1 compression. For this particular song, I'm going to go with a 12:1 compression ratio. And so all we have to do now is go ahead and put some audio into this, and we can start adjusting our input gain and our output gain.
Lord, I'm praying you do the same with me. 'Cause you're still robbing grace, still breaking chains. Your resurrection power lives in me.
So, if I was wanting to have less compression, I would turn this input down and then turn the output up. And then one thing that we want to make sure is that the vocal stays the same volume overall if we turn it off versus on. Now notice, this is quieter than with it on, so we'll need to add some output gain.
Lord, I'm praying you do the same with me.
That's about right. So at this point, we can start adding input gain and turning down the output gain as we dial in compression.
I come alive when you fan the flame. Holy Spirit, fire, come and rest on me. Come set me free. Rob the grave in me. Won't you set me free? Rob the grave in me. 'Cause you're still robbing grave.
Okay, so that was a pretty fast dial-in of this, and what I'm looking for is a lot of compression on this vocal. For this particular vocal and this specific song and this band and this venue that I'm mixing in, I am wanting a very in-your-face vocal. I'm wanting it to be upfront with a lot of compression. For some other genres, this is not going to be the ideal settings for that. Maybe you want to go with a 4:1 compression ratio or an 8:1 compression ratio, having a little bit more dynamics in a specific song. But for this song, I am going to be going with the 12:1 compression ratio to have it really in your face. And so the amount of compression that I am dialing in on this is around the -5 to -10 point on this compressor when the vocalist really gets into it hard.
Lord, I'm praying you do the same with me. 'Cause you're still robbing grace, still breaking
Now,
chains.
this is a lot of
Your
compression. You
resurrection
can hear it. It gives it a little bit
power
of grit to it, which is fantastic. So let's listen to this section real fast without the compressor on, and that will it will give you a general sense of the dynamics of this singer real fast. So I'm going to turn this off.
Lord, I'm praying you do the same with me. 'Cause you're still robbing grace, still breaking chains. You're
Praying and still robbin' are two words that are really kind of cutting through a lot.
Lord, I'm praying you do the same with me. 'Cause you're still robbing grace, still breaking.
So that vocal is kind of coming in and out, which is totally great. This is a fantastic vocalist. But I'm just wanting it to be a little bit more even so that all of those words are being present in the mix at the same volume, which is where this compressor is coming in at. So let's go ahead and turn on this compressor and listen to that section again.
Lord, I'm praying you do the same with me. 'Cause you're still robbing grace, still breaking chains. Your resurrection power lives in me.
Okay, let's listen to this section without the compressor plus the band on here.
Lord, I'm praying you do the same with me. 'Cause you're still robbing grace, still breaking.
And let's listen to it again with the compressor on.
Lord, I'm praying you do the same with me. 'Cause you're still robbing grace, still breaking chains.
Now this has gone from kind of coming back in the mix to the front of the mix and then back and then front again to just being straight up in the front of this mix. And this is where this 76 limiter amp really, really shines. Now I am looking for a lot of compression on this vocal again. So I'm okay with some of that compression sound. There's a grittiness to it, but this song has some grittiness to it. There's some grittiness that's happening on that vocal, but that vocal needs that grittiness in this mix. So I'm totally good for the compression sound of this compressor. Now, one step that we could do a little bit farther is there are some words that are still a little bit on the loud side. And this is where we can use another type of compressor, and that is an optical compressor. And so this is a little bonus for you guys, but if you go to my gate section, I'm going to turn this on and then pull up my LA leveler. And then I'm going to go to home, hit the gear, and I'm going to move my gate to be after my compressor. So I have my EQ first, then my 76. There we go. I have my EQ first, and then my 76, and then my LA amp, which is the LA2A. And once I'm done, I can go ahead and hit that gear icon and save that. So this is an optical style compressor. So it is a slower attack and a slower release. And the reason that I'm putting this after that 1176 is because I want my fastest compression attack and release times to be first in the signal chain. because I'm not going to be cutting off words on the release. If you put a slower compressor first, then on some vocal performances, you're going to be missing some words that are happening immediately after a very loud word, because that compressor is still starting to release on that release time. And those compressors, like the LA leveler, that have a longer release time, you are going to miss some of those words. So I use the LA leveler just to round things out just a little bit more, just as a little icing on the cake. And so on this compressor, there is a gain knob, which is post compression. And then we have our peak reduction, which is the amount of compression that we want to have on this specific channel. So this is like our threshold. The higher this is, the lower that threshold, or the more compression that we're going to have. The lower this is, the higher that threshold, or the less amount of compression that we're going to have. And then the very last thing that we have is the ability to switch between a limiter or a compressor. The limiter is going to be about 10:1 compression ratio, and then the compression is going to be about 3 to 4:1 compression ratio. So my goal on adding this in is to just shave off about 1, maybe 2 dB of compression on the very, very loudest notes that pop through.
Lord, I'm praying you do the same with me. Cause you're still robbing grace, still breaking chains. Your resurrection power lives in me. I come alive when you fan the flame. Holy Spirit,
Okay, let's listen to this one more time. Let's mute the band here.
Lord, I'm praying you do the same
And
with
it is
me.
louder without this in.
Cause
So
you're still robbing grace, still breaking chains. Your resurrection
gain a
power
little bit here.
lives in me.
okay.
Lord, I'm praying you do the same with me. Cause you're still robbing grace, still breaking chains. Your resurrection power lives in me. I come alive when you
All right, let's
fan
listen
the
to
flame.
this section here with the band, without this on.
Lord, I'm praying you do the same with me. Cause you're still robbing grace, still breaking chains. Your resurrection power.
It's pretty good, but when we add this in, it just gives it a little bit more smoothness.
Lord, I'm praying you do the same with me. Cause you're still robbing grace, still breaking chains. Your resurrection power lives in me. I come alive when you fan the flame. Lord, I'm praying you do the same with me. Cause you're still robbing grace, still breaking chains. Your resurrection power lives in me. I come alive. Lord, I'm praying you do the same with me. Cause you're still robbing grace, still breaking chains. Your resurrection power lives in me. I come alive when you fan the flame. Holy Spirit, fire, come and rest on me. Come set me free.
Now, it's very subtle, the addition of this, but it just smooths it out just a little bit more than just having one compressor. And so this is one way of adding 2 compressors into a vocal and being able to create a really nice package. But again, my ideal compressor for a vocal is going to be reaching for the 76 limiter amp, or the 1176, or for the wave side, the CLA 76. For you waves guys. Now, I hope this video was helpful for you today. If you do happen to have any questions, or there's a video that you're hoping that I would make on the Behringer WING, or really any of the production equipment that's out there, please post that in the comment section down below, as I'm always reading through those comments to find videos that can be helpful for you. If you haven't already, make sure to check out my website at drewbrashler.com, where I have a bunch of channel presets, effects presets, and some scenes available for purchase on your Behringer WING X32 and X-Air. So go check that out over at drewbrashler.com. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day.